Hello and welcome to Crafty Motato. I am Mo, the Crafty Potato, and it is the very merry month of June, which means that it is Pride Month. And of course, being a gay myself, that means that it is time for me to make a lovely Pride Month dress. Now, on a recent jaunt to my local fabric store, I came across some rainbow-themed fabric with Care Bears on it. And of course, child of the 1980s that I am, I had to go ahead and decide to make a Care Bears rainbow Pride dress. So that is what I am choosing to do. I also found this lovely fabric that had all of the pride flags on it, which I will incorporate as an accent. The silhouette of the dress is going to be semi-inspired by the 1950s, but also just a really cute day dress. And I hope you enjoy the process as we go along and make this dress.
Now, for this dress, I will be using Simplicity Pattern 8096, which is a plus-size friendly pattern that I have made a lot. I have in fact made it so many times that I transferred the bodice patterns onto some mat board so I can just reuse it over and over again. The bodice pattern consists of one front piece cut on the fold, two side pieces, and a back piece. There's also a front band piece made for a contrasting fabric. I'll be using the Pride Flag fabric for that. The main bodice I'll be making of the all-over Care Bear print, as well as the bodice lining. The skirt I'll make using the stripes. I'll also add a ruffle at the bottom using the Pride Flag fabric again, and then a longer ruffle out of the stripes. Let's get to it. Accents! Bodice! Skirt. For the skirt, I won't be using the provided pattern. Instead, I'll just make rectangles and gather them into the bodice seam, which means it's time for my favorite part of the cutting process, ripping the fabric into pieces. If you're going to tear your fabric along the weave, always start out by snipping a small section about 2 centimeters in and ripping that. This evens out the cut from the store, and you can be sure that you have perfect fangrels for the rest of your tears. Using the scraps I have left over from cutting, I'll cut out my pockets, which are vital in any garment I make, and the straps. I guess those are important too. So here are all the pieces now that they've been cut out. Pockets, ruffles, straps, front bands, front, back, side fronts, and skirts. The first thing to sew will be the straps. Then these are flipped right side out and then top stitched because I couldn't be bothered to press them. Then I'll stitch the front band. To get the band to have a nice point, I cut the excess seam allowance off at an angle to reduce the bulk. Then take your nearest sharp, pointy object and shove it inside to push the tip out and make a sharp point. Then the band too gets top stitched because I will do anything to avoid having to iron. Plus, it was super hot when I was filming this, and my craft room only has a window unit for AC, which is really loud and I can't use when I'm recording. Next, stitching the most important part, the pockets. Then I stitch the bodice front and side fronts together, and then do it again for the lining, and then the backs.
The next stage is a little complicated, so I'm going to demonstrate it here on my dress form. This is the lining side of the fabric, and I have that facing out, right side out, so you'll be better able to understand what has to happen next. What we're going to do is we're going to make a sandwich with the lining fabric on the outside, the straps and the front band on the inside, and then the fashion fabric, or the side of the fabric that's actually going to be facing out, on the other side. So we're going to make a sandwich with the lining and the fashion fabric on the outside and the front band and the straps in the middle. Alright, so I've pinned the straps to the points on the lining where they're going to go. And you have to be careful here because you want to pin your straps opposite the way that you want them to actually go. So I want this side to be the front side because I have this cute little pink bear nice and centered. So I want to make sure that that side is the outside. So I make sure that the inside is facing out when I pin it. And I do the same thing with the band. This is the side that I want to face out, so I make sure that that is facing in this sandwich. And now I add the front side. This is the main fashion fabric, inside out, right side facing in, on top of the sandwich. And now I need to pin everything together along this front edge, and then I can stitch it. So now I've taken it off the dress form and pinned everything together. And now when I flip it right side out, the lining is back here. This is the front side, and the side that I wanted on the front band is facing out, and the side that I wanted on the strap is facing out. So now I just need to sew that seam together. So it's back on the dress form now. The front seam has been sewn together, but I do still need to go back over and top stitch this. I might actually have to break out the iron and iron this flat before I top stitch it, just so that it's nice and crisp. I also want to get this front center seam out of here, so I'll probably have to break out the iron, even though it's 1,000,000 degrees up here, but that's okay. Now, I do now need to go ahead and add the straps. I need to attach the straps to the back. And when I stitched the 2 layers together, when I stitched together my sandwich, I purposefully left some gaps at the back here so that I can go ahead and tuck in the edges of these straps where they need to go, and then I can finish the sandwich and close those up. So that's the next step.
Now that the bodice is done, it's time to start the skirt, first by the most important parts, the pockets. I pin these to the sides of the skirt, then stitch them, then top stitch them. Then I sew the sides together. To add the ruffles, I break out the serger to finish the edges, then sew a gathering line at the tops of both the short and the long ruffles. Here they are once everything is gathered. I also did not bother to hem the ruffles, they're fine just being serged, and this is totally an aesthetic choice and not because I'm lazy. Now, one final stitch remains between me and the completion of this dress, and my bobbin runs out. Of course it does. But with that final stitch in place, my pride dress is complete. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you like what I do, please feel free to like, subscribe, and comment, and do all the YouTube things. Until next month, this is Mo, the Crafty Potato, signing off.